Hello, my traveling friends. It's the Tinker Mom back with more tips on how you can have fun traveling and learning with your children. And today I wanted to talk about a place that we got to visit last weekend called Plymouth Plantation in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Plymouth Plantation is a living history museum in Plymouth, and we had such a wonderful time there. I'm going to talk about the museum and different activities that you get to do at the museum. So, just to give you a little bit of information, Plymouth Plantation is open from 9 to 5 from the spring until the end of November. The ticket prices at the time of recording this are for $28 for an adult, $16 for children 5 to 12, and children under 4 are free, and $26 for seniors. I'm going to put their website down in the notes below so you can go on their website and check for directions and see if their prices have been changed since the time of recording this. So when you arrive at Plymouth Plantation, you come into the visitor center and they'll give you one of these maps. I asked for 2 of them so that each of my kids could have one, and they were happy to do that. It's a great souvenir. And you come in right down here, you'll see on the bottom corner the visitor center. And in the visitor center, the first thing you do is you go in and see a movie that introduces you to the museum and its different parts and a little bit of the history. And then you walk around the museum. It's dirt paths, so you definitely want to wear very comfortable walking shoes to walk around. And there are quite a few stairs as well. So we went around by going first to the craft center. And in the craft center, they have artisans doing different crafts that would have been done by artisans during the time when the pilgrims settled in the area. And they give you a schedule when you walk in of all of the different activities for the day and the different demonstrations. When we got there, there was a woman making homemade beeswax candles, and she showed the kids how you dip them and that you have to let them dry. And I was amazed to find out you have to actually dip them 30 times to make a regular size taper. And then from there, we walked around to the English Village. In the English Village section of the museum, you'll find there are people in character, actors dressed in character of the people who lived in Plymouth. And by asking questions, I found out that they're actually acting as if they've been in Plymouth for 4 years. So in the English Village, it's 4 years after the Mayflower left. And you can go into their houses, you can talk with the characters and ask them questions. It was a great learning experience just talking with them. And one of my children asked about Thanksgiving, and the character was like, "Well, I don't know what Thanksgiving is. What do you mean?" And he's like, "Oh, you mean the harvest feast." So we learned that during that time, the first autumn, when they were there and they had what we call Thanksgiving, they didn't call it Thanksgiving. So you can learn all things by asking them questions. It was really great. And I'll put some pictures up here on the screen on the side so you can see some of the different activities that we did there. And then the last part of the museum, down at the bottom, you'll see the Wampanoag home site. And in this section of the museum, there are members of the Wampanoag community who work there, and they are not in character. They are just themselves, and you can ask them questions about the Wampanoag culture. And that section of the museum to me was the most interesting because I don't know a lot about the Wampanoag culture, so I was able to learn quite a bit just by talking with the staff there. And they are wearing traditional Wampanoag outfits from the time before the Europeans were in the United States. So very fascinating, very worthwhile visiting. We also got to see how they made wooden canoes, which they actually burn out the middle part of a log, and that's how they would make their wooden canoes. That was just amazing to be able to see, and they were doing one while we were there, and it takes several days to burn it. So that was really cool to be able to learn about. So Plymouth Plantation, definitely worth a visit. It's probably about a 40 to 45-minute drive from Boston on a Sunday morning when there's not a lot of traffic, but definitely worthwhile if you're in the area stopping by and visiting Plymouth Plantation. So in 2 weeks, I'm going to be heading out to California, and I'm going to do some recording out there and getting some stuff about LA. I'm going to be in Los Angeles, and then I'll be spending a few days in Disneyland, which I'm very excited, my first trip to Disneyland, and I hope to be able to share that with you as well. And then I'll be heading up to San Francisco for a little while. So some great traveling coming up, and I hope to be able to share everything with you. So until next time, best wishes and magical travels.